I'm sorry, Miss Davis. Hello. I'm so sorry. Yes, I know.
That's Mr. Curtis back there.
Yes. Mr. Curtis, my apologies to you, sir. Sorry, that's what happens when you got two thoughts going on in your head.
You've been up since 2:30.
Thank you for that excuse right there, yes. All right, the question is, on the issue of business license reform, what, if any, changes would you like to see in this process? Please address any possible budget shortfalls that may result.
I'm so glad I get to answer that question first, being a business owner here in our wonderful city. And do I think that the business license needs to be reformed? Absolutely not. I feel like it is a privilege to do business here in Simpsonville. It is a privilege to actually have the wonderful community support that I have gotten for my business over the past 11 years. So I'm willing to pay to do business here in Simpsonville, just as I have done for the past 11 years. And I know that that's not going to be real popular with a lot of business owners, but I am a business owner. I also live here in Simpsonville. So I think it's very important that people do business here in Simpsonville. We have a responsibility to the community that we serve. So that's me.
Miss Curtis, thank you.
You're welcome, Miss Hart.
Very good, well done. All right. And to you, Miss Lockerbie.
I was waiting if you would say the Ms. or Mr. Mr. said over there.
Got myself in some trouble here.
This business license reform, if it is taken away, it will affect the city about $3 million a year. And with our tight budget, that would be a killer. Malden and Fountain Inn's about $2.5 million, I think, and Malden's something like $4 million. And I talked to one of the gentlemen that co-sponsored the bill. They want to do away with the business license, period, or cut it down to $100 max. But he said, and I told him, I said, I don't agree with this, and I'd like to know why you're doing this, because it's hitting us hard if it passed. He said, well, I don't really support it. I was just trying to get the municipal association to come to the table and talk. I said, are you playing games? You playing games with our money? Well, no, I'm not playing games. But that's exactly the way it's going to hit us, about $3 million if it passes. And he says if he sees that this is going to pass, he'll withdraw his support. Thank you very much.
All right, Ms. Lockerbie, thank you. All right, Mr. Rash now.
Please repeat the question.
Yes, sir. On the issue of business license reform, what, if any, changes would you like to see in this process? Please address any possible budget shortfalls that may result.
Well, first of all, let me just be honest and say this. This is an issue that, as far as what the business license costs are, what you need, but they're talking about change, and I know I'm not familiar with it, so I can't really speak to it. But what Mrs. Lockerbie said, I am familiar with that, where at the state level, they're trying to remove the business license from various cities, and not only Simpsonville, but most all of the smaller cities cannot stand for this to happen. It would just almost throw them into bankruptcy. So I do know that, and I would ask that you look at this item to someone who has actually been face to face with it and really knows what's going on better than I do. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rash, thank you. And Mr. Glenn.
My thoughts on this is if business license reform is being driven by the state and it's going to affect the municipalities, and that is a possibility that could happen, yes or no, then if we're not initiating, then we need to be prepared to react to it. So if we could do something from a municipality point of view to change our business license structure that would encourage more business, I think it opens up a conversation. So a lot was said about us talking to you in those terms. I think it warrants a conversation for business owners. You have a forum with them and you say, okay, you're currently paying X for business fees and you get Y. If we changed X, what would you get is Y. How would that improve your business, and how would you in turn take those revenues, those profits, and reinvest into our community? How can we make this a win-win? If we do things to affect the fees we charge them to be here, if we lower that, what do we get for it? Obviously, it's a budget item, and so it's something, if it's gonna go away, we need to make plans for that. I would like to see us get ahead of that game, have a conversation with our business owners, find out what does the business fee that you pay to us cost you and how you would otherwise invest in us, and how can we make changes to improve their life, which will improve our livelihood.
All right, Mr. Glenn, thank you, Mr. Gooch.
We did a local reform of business licenses approximately 2 years ago. We changed the whole structure. Some businesses' categories changed, so their fee structures changed a little bit, but a lot of what we have to do is driven by the state. Right now, there are 3 bills at the state, all 3 of which are going to affect us significantly if they pass. They're talking about reform, and it does sound good, and everybody thinks, well, business won't have to pay as much. I agree with Ms. Curtis. It's a privilege to do business in Simpsonville, and I pay business licenses in Simpsonville, Fountain Inn, Greenville, Greer, City of Spartanburg when I go over there. On occasion, we go to Anderson, I gotta pay a business license fee. I understand that's how they operate. Out of our budget, it's approximately $3 million. Out of our budget, property taxes pay $4 or $5 million. So it's a huge chunk of money for our revenue for our city. Now, what can we actually do that I think will actually help Simpsonville, help businesses? Fees. They need to be changed and structured. So for example, I fixed a sewer line just down the street here the other day, had to tap into the street. We went into the street 3 feet. I had to pay $500 to do that. The homeowner, you the homeowner, have to pay $500 to do that. It took me an hour and a half. It wouldn't take a long time to get the permit. I had to take my time, go down there, get it done, turn around, come back. And it worked. But $500 is a lot of money for a homeowner to have to pay when they. I think we can fix that part of it better than we can fix the business license fees. And that's what I would like to see as we look at our structure of our fees. Business licenses, we can do something with, but really we're driven by what the state does to us. The keeper of the time is telling me we should be quiet. So I think I've covered all my points. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gooch, Ms. Houlihan now.
As Mr. Gooch said, the state is currently doing quite a bit with the business license fees, and there's stuff sitting out there right now. I don't think that we can really make any decisions about what we're going to do or changing hours until we see how that pans out. Those are sitting there waiting to be voted on. We need to see what's going to happen there. Do we need to do some things to make doing business in Simpsonville friendlier? Probably. Could we do them? Yes. Is this the way to do them? Not necessarily. But we could do something like the economic developer that we were talking about with the last question to make it friendlier for businesses to do business in Simpsonville. It is already a great place to do business. We've heard from business owners tonight. And it is a privilege to do business here. And they're going to pay business license fees somewhere, so why not here? Can we afford to lose $3 million from it? Probably not. So I do not think we need to be doing anything with that right now.
All right, Ms. Houlihan, thank you. And Mr. Rhoda for now.
I do support business license reform in some aspect. There are a lot of things we're talking about the state. I agree with Mrs. Curtis and Mr. Gooch. I would pay more for my business license in Simpsonville. That's not the issue, and that's not why the GGAR brought it up. They wanted to start a conversation because they want every industry who supports the housing industry to be more affordable. And Mr. Gooch demonstrated the point. If your business is in Simpsonville, then you buy a business license from Simpsonville as a resident company. If you're outside of Simpsonville, you buy one as a foreign entity, and those rates are different. So there are industries out there, plumbing, electricians, any fence builder, anything that comes to the home that does run into the issue of, oh, I need 20 business licenses in order to do business. Certain municipalities are policing it better than others. One just to the north of us is notorious for turning people in when they see the truck go through there. So I believe that there's a solution out there that works for everybody. As an elected official, no, you're not going to turn away from $2.5 million here. The city of Greenville, it's over 40 million. It's never going to pass what they're talking about at the state, I don't believe. But nobody in the county is required to pay a business license fee if you're only doing business in the county. So I think there's opportunities there. Is anybody in the county gonna be happy if they get hit with a business license fee? No. But I do believe that there's a solution out there that works for everybody, that there can be some level of revenue maintained, that you're looking at the city. And do we need to get ahead of it? Absolutely, because probably something's gonna come down the pike. May not be this year, maybe 2 years from now, but yes, I absolutely support some sort of reform that works for everybody.
All right, Mr. Rutherford, thank you. Mr. Cummings?
I think it's worth noting that we should be proactive in everything that we do as a council. Not only just one fiscal year in ahead, but 3, 4, 5 years in advance. I'm not sure, I don't know how much it costs for a Chick-fil-A combo today. To be totally honest, sometimes I don't even listen to the price they tell me until I get to the window. The reason is, it's not that I don't care about it, it's that I know I'm getting a service in return that I know is great. So sometimes when you're getting great service, cost doesn't really make that much of a difference. So as it relates to the business license, like the fees, and some of our business owners here in the area have mentioned it, they don't mind paying the fees. So I don't think that there's anything that we should do for that, because I think we're offering them a great service and we'll continue to offer a great service. But as it relates to the reform, I think we need to be proactive and think, hey, if this money does go away, how are we gonna replace it? $3 million last year, I think 3.6 is budgeted for the next fiscal year. It would be a great economic impact for us if that were to go away. So I think we need to be proactive and try to think, if it does, how can we try to replace that?
All right, Mr. Cummings and Mr. Donnelly now.
Well, I think as the business owners that were here mentioned, that they feel it's a privilege to do business in Simpsonville, and they pay license fees here, and Mr. Gooch pays license fees all over the county. That's the cost of doing business, okay? If we lose that $3 million, there's not many options that you can do with $3 million. You have to pass them along, which is not, anybody wants to increase the tax base at all. We don't need to increase the taxes at all. I think the fee is, I assume it's fair. I've not seen it. I don't know. I don't run a business here, so I don't know. But I assume it's fair, or they would be more screaming about how high it is, or it's too much. But as they said, $3 million, that's a big chunk to try to replace. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Donnelly, thank you. And on to the final question of the evening as we draw to see who answers this question first. All right, Mr. Rutherford, you will answer first. And the question is, Jeff Bannister, creator of Bovinoche, just announced that the event will be pulling out of Simpsonville due to the current political climate. What would you say to him or other event planners who have already left or will now look for other cities for their events?
I know Jeff. I know Jeff personally. I've gone to his events, he's come to my events. We both understand what it takes to put on an event here. Honestly, he made that decision in May. To release it this week, I think has some political motivations behind it. We can do a lot of things. The city permit process, I don't think that everybody enjoys, but it's just a matter of fact that these are the rules and regulations that the city has put in place in order to put an event on. Jeff has reorganized this event twice, and now he's going under number 3. So you can never make 100% of the people happy all of the time, but we can attract more events here. It just costs money in budgeting. Every time extra duty police security comes up, it's an issue. Nobody likes paying it, but it's necessary because our police department has men and women on the field in a shift that takes a certain number of people to cover our city on a daily basis. So they're absolutely worth the money. Did I want to pay $2,065 for Bacon Labor Day? No. But honestly, there was 3 officers on duty and they did a heck of a job because there was an issue there that nobody knows about, and I'm not going to talk about it. But they know the community, they took care of it, and there was no issue. If we want to get into the business of forgiving security, I would support that, as long as there's a level playing field that says, this is what our definitions are, this is what qualifies for it, and if we set aside the money, so it's not a surprise to attract them here.
All right, Mr. Rutherford, thank you. Mr. Cummings.
Repeat it.
Absolutely. Jeff Bannister, creator of Bovinoche, just announced that the event will be pulling out of Simpsonville due to the current political climate. What would you say to him or other event planners who have already left or will now look for other cities for their events?
First thing I would say is give us another chance. I'll tell you that one of the reasons why I'm standing here today is because of the economic climate that we've had. Because I'm actually almost disappointed when I talk to people that I know in my hometown, and they say, you're not from that place that's been on the news, or they talk about that stuff, are you? And I have to unfortunately tell them yes. And I tell you, I don't do anything that I don't expect myself to do. I tell my boys, and one thing I tell them is, if you can impact change yourself, don't wait for anybody else. If not now, when? If not, who you? And I kind of live by that mindset. And I say that because I think that a united council makes the world of difference. I think some things will begin to fall in place once people from outside our community and inside our community can see that we're all working together for the better good. No one up here is going to have all the same solutions or the same ideas to get there. That's why you have diverse people with different cultures, different backgrounds, different ages, different economic backgrounds. Because one person's idea, you may not realize how that's affecting someone else. And I may bring something to the table that you're not even thinking about. So I think a very diverse council with a lot of individuals, a lot of different backgrounds, will help some of the event planners in the future to say yes to Simpsonville in the future. Now granted, just like Mark said, everybody's not going to stay, everybody's not going to come. But I believe if we at least have a community that's working together, a council that seems to be at least civil to each other, then we can move forward for the future.
Mr. Bannister, Mr. Donnelly.
I agree with Ken and the second chance. I'm not familiar with the whole thing to begin with. I really don't like to make a judgment on statements that were made, but it sounds like he ran into a problem. Well, that may be the case, but the problem is changing. The climate is changing. He needs to give us a second chance, because we've been here, we've all been at different meetings and different things going on, and we need to have that second chance. He really loses out by not being here, not coming to Simpsonville, because Simpsonville has an awful lot to offer for him. And yeah, we miss it, but that's his choice, okay? Thank you.
All right, Mr. Donnelly, Ms. Curtis now.
Could you read the question again, please?
Absolutely. Jeff Bannister, creator of Bovinoche, just announced that the event will be pulling out of Simpsonville due to the current political climate. What would you say to him or other event planners who have already left or will now look for other cities for their events?
As far as he is concerned and other event planners, I would certainly make every effort to reach out to them once again and let them know that the climate has definitely changed. I hadn't heard about this. I mean, it's shocking to me that it doesn't matter when the decision was made to pull out. It was a political reason that he chose to pull out. I'm shocked, first of all, that someone is not being welcomed into Simpsonville that's actually bringing people and money into our economy. So I don't know what the problem was, and at this particular juncture, it doesn't matter. We just need to reach out to these people that can help us economically to bring people into the area and to keep these people here as far as events go. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Curtis, thank you. Ms. Lockwood.
Somebody mentioned something about the turmoil in Simpsonville. When I would go to work, when all this turmoil was going on, people would say, well, what's happening in Simpsonville? I tell them, we're cleaning up our city, maybe you need to work on yours. So when I met with Gene Donahue, who is one of the SLED investigators that did some investigating in this city, and I said, thank you, sir. I said, and I told him that story, and he said, you would not believe what's going on in these small towns. But as far as the Bovinoche, I'd like to reach out to the guy. I'd like to know what the issue is, because I don't know what it is. I'm like Ms. Curtis. I just heard about it. And if you have a problem with the city, maybe you need to come talk to us and let us know what your issues were. Because there's nothing we can do to fix it if we don't know what's going on. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Lockerbie, thank you. Mr. Rash now.
Yes, please repeat the question.
Yes, sir. Jeff Bannister, creator of Bovinoche, just announced that the event will be pulling out of Simpsonville due to the current political climate. What would you say to him or other event planners who have already left or will now look for other cities for their events?
I can't really speak to Mr. Bannister because here again, this is news to me. I haven't been privy to what is going on, so I don't really know what it's all about, to that. But I do hate to see it. I did agree with Mr. Cummings. I think he's alluded to this previously, about the confusion or uproar, turmoil, what are you gonna call it, in Simpsonville. Unfortunately, that is true. The city has had to deal with that. And it needs to go away, and we need to solve the problem. We need to make Simpsonville a happy, good place to live and work. But all I ask is that the voters realize this problem exists, and they need to show that they can distinguish between those individuals who are the perpetrators of the turmoil and those who are the victims of the turmoil. I personally want to see this happen. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ash, thank you. Mr. Glenn now.
I met Jeff 2 years ago at Bovinoche. We have a lot of common friends. The joke was earlier about barbecue. I compete in the South Carolina Barbecue Association, so I've got a passion for those events, and I love to see one come to Simpsonville because this year when he was doing his event here, I was at Williamston competing in a barbecue contest. And at the same time he'd attracted folks here, they attracted folks there. I've done contests in Williamston, Spartanburg, been events in Cowpens, Tryon, Anderson, Greenwood, Simpsonville, Malden. Malden does an incredible job at their barbecue contest. You need a city that is event friendly. Policies, fees, structures, infrastructures that want them to come here. Why Jeff made this decision, that's his decision. I know talking to Jeff 2 years ago, the biggest challenge for him at his event was trying to pull off an event of that magnitude with all the expenses, and he doesn't do it for profit. He did it to support charities. He's not got to the point from my conversation with him where he could overcome fees and costs to get to what he really was, his passion was to give back. So how can we help other events come here and be able to give back? The thing I like about the SCBA is all their events are not for profit. So they work with the communities to do things on a low fee because they're going to give back. Williamston gives back to a child home. Spartanburg's Hope City Hog Fest gives back to their Meals on Wheels program. Malden gives back to their cultural center. And it's a great event. Malden Freed Up event in June. The Shriners aren't doing theirs anymore. I'd love to see that come here. It's right down the road. It's a beautiful part of the time. Those events are family friendly. If you went to Malden for $10, your family could sample 25 barbecue samples, and $10. Can you go to any fair or any other event and do that? You can't even get into the movie theater for only $10 now. Forget popcorn. So you can come get great barbecue, spend $10. So yeah, we have to be event friendly. It helps economic development, it helps cultural development. And the thing I would say in my last 2 segments is I apologize. The mess that you've seen from Simpsonville, the mess that you've seen in the mail, it breaks my heart because it makes us look like a bunch of fools here.
Mr. Gooch. Again, please. Jeff Banner, creator of Bovinoche, just announced that the event will be pulling out of Simpsonville due to the current political climate. What would you say to him or other event planners who have already left or will now look for other cities for their events?
Well, first of all, I would say I am not a victim, so I'm not going to go there. I'm not a victim of somebody. What I actually said to Mr. Bannister when I called him 3 days ago and said, Jeff, what's going on? I've known you a long time. What's up? And he gave me a story. And it really boiled down to customer service. Mr. Bannister was told at some point during this whole process of him putting the event on here, and it's a very popular event. He brings in hundreds of people. We have roughly 60 hotel rooms booked while he's here. Mr. Bannister's got a lot of stuff going on in his life that he brings back to here. He's working on TV shows, he's working on other things that really pull a lot towards Jeff. Jeff's from the Beacon. He's one of those great big personalities. When you meet him, you go, wow, how do you do all this? So I called him, I said, Jeff, what's going on? And Jeff told me very simply, he said, I was told to pick a side. I said, what do you mean a side? He said, I'm not political. And obviously, if you don't know Jeff, he is the most non-political human being you would ever meet. He would rather cross the street than talk to a politician. And I kind of agree with him. And so I said, okay. And we left it, and he told me more of the story. If you want to call him, but he was asked to pick a side, and that really just broke his heart. And he said, no more. I'm not doing this. So what I also said to Jeff was very simple. And there you go, somebody says at your side, Mr. Barrett, that's what we're talking about right here. That's the kind of disruption that I'm sick of. I'm absolutely tired of having a side. I'm on a side. My side is Simpsonville. It is Simpsonville. That's where I am. That is my side. If you think it's anything else, feel free. Keep coming to meetings and disrupting place. So to finish, what I said to Jeff was very simple. Please wait a few days, think about it, sit down with us, have a conversation. And he said, I'll consider having a conversation with you. And that's where we left it. So I'm waiting to see what happens so we can have a conversation.
All right, Mr. Gooch, thank you. And Ms. Houlihan now.
Okay, so, political climate, let's start there. It's not news to us. We know that there is a not great political climate in Simpsonville over the last several years. We're aware that it exists. The issue is it needs to stop. If it's costing us things like Bovinoche, then we know it's a huge problem for us. So let's make it not be a problem. That starts with cleaning up our own city, right? And that starts with us. It starts with us as citizens saying, yeah, that's what we want, enough is enough. And it starts then with the leadership of the mayor and the city council, and saying, from here, moving forward, we're for unity. We're for one Simpsonville, no sides, doing only what is best for the city. That starts as soon as the next people are elected. It starts with finding common ground. We all love this city. We want it to be the best it can be. It moves into consensus building. How do we take all of the wonderful ideas? Ken talked about having so much diversity, right? And having all these different experiences and backgrounds and ideas. How do we take all of those and bring them together to create one vision, one plan for the future of this city that's going to move us forward in a direction where we don't have to feel embarrassed of our city or like we're being made fools of. So it starts with us, it starts with the leaders, unity, vision, move forward.
All right, Ms. Houlihan, thank you. And that concludes tonight's forum. Many thanks to all 9 of you here this evening. Appreciate it very much. Great to see many people here this evening. It's been a real pleasure for me to be here tonight in Simpsonville, a place that I lived for 10 years and loved being in Simpsonville. Don't forget to vote, November 3rd. Anything else?
Yes, I'm just gonna say a few more things. Thank you. Just a few last things. Thank you to the candidates for again joining us tonight. Yes. Thank you all for coming again, for educating yourselves on the issues and what the candidates have to say on those issues. We are bumping up against our time limit, so we're going to not do any additional questions, but I encourage you to approach the candidates on a one-on-one basis or as a group here tonight to get any other information that you would like. There's a mystery man in the corner who is not a mute extra candidate. I just want to thank him from the bottom of my heart for coming tonight. He did not know he was doing this tonight until I think like 3:30. And even when he agreed to come, I don't think he knew exactly what he was getting into. This is Burley Stabler. His company is It's Showtime. He does DJ services. So again, thank you so much. Lastly, I will remind you guys all to vote on Tuesday, and then double lastly, I say lastly a lot, I'm just kidding. I did videotape this tonight. I did 3 different videos, 2 questions each, so the videos each ended up being about half an hour. As soon as I can get them off of my phone and onto a computer somewhere, we'll put them on the Chamber's YouTube page, and then we'll share it through social media, and should be able to do it through email as well. For those of you that registered tonight, I should have your email address, so look for an email that just has a link to the YouTube page for those. Please share it with your friends and anyone else who wasn't able to make it tonight. So again, thank you all, and have a wonderful night.